Hello everybody and welcome back to the Serpentine Snipes YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going over a basic aim training routine that I use in Valorant that I think can make you way better at the game than you already are, or maybe just warm you up for the matches to come. First of all, let's distinguish the difference between training and warm-up. Warm-up is generally going to be a shorter session designed to get your aim warmed up for the coming matches. So it's just to get you into the feel of the game if you've been playing other games, or if it's your first day of the game, get you back used to the mechanics and get you ready. Training is more hardcore and is focused on making you better overall as a player and not tuning in. A warm-up is generally going to be before some matches, then after some matches you come back later in the day and do some training. This routine that I'm about to show you can be applicable for warm-ups or training sessions, but I'm just going to tell you how to go about using them. So in warm-ups, they're usually going to be 3-minute sessions about, and they're really good just to do just the bare exercise and get your mechanics warmed up. When you're going to be in a training session, however, each of these exercises can be time you have, and as you go along in them, you can add your own little twists that you think would make it more realistic in this gameplay, and maybe adding some of your own exercises or some of the pre-built ones in the training range. With all that boring explanation out of the way, let's hop right into the first exercise. You're going to go into the bot section of the training range, go to practice, and then you're going to pick a spot on the wall, the floor, or any object, and strafe around it, keeping your crosshair directly on it. This should get you used to your sensitivity from many ranges. Make sure to change up your distances. And then, as you're doing that, you stop and flick to the head of one of the bots that you chose before. So you're strafing left and right, or up and down, and you're keeping your crosshair pinpointed. So you're working on your sensitivity, you're working on your movement, and you're going to be working on your flicks in a minute. So then you stop your movement and directly move your mouse to that next bot's head. As soon as you hit that, try and move around to a different angle compared to the bots and choose a new target. Some are going to be higher in elevation, some are going to be lower, some are going to be closer from the bot, some are going to be farther. You want to really be able to get used to any situation you could be in where you need to combine all of your abilities and your skills to flick to a bot's head. As time goes on, you can make this more difficult by making it higher or lower or to more extreme ends, and maybe even sprint strafing, which is when you hold the sprint key and are moving around faster so your sensitivity is more stressed, and then still being able to keep it cool and flip to the head. Next up, we have probably my favorite of all of these exercises, and that is the from one bot to another, and I'll explain. So, first of all, you put your crosshair on one of the bot's heads in the practice setting in the bot area. Usually use a Phantom or Vandal, whichever one you're more comfortable with. If you want to, you can use the Odin, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can take advantage of its spray pattern too easily. So what you do, you put your crosshair on one bot's head and identify another that you want to flick to after it. You put a short burst of bullets into the first one, and then flick your crosshair immediately to the second and spray into them. You want to go immediately to the head and fire as little bullets as possible. This is really useful for 1v2 or 1v3 scenarios where you're going to need to manage your recoil and get a burst in and give yourself just enough time to fully reset the recoil pattern until bursting into the next person. This is probably the most essential of these workouts to practice most of the time, and I would probably recommend 10-minute sessions of this at the very least, because it is so important and it encompasses so many skills. As you go on with your workout, you might want to add some movement to it, like strafing around the bot's head, burst firing, flicking, and then moving on. And of course, in every good practice routine, you have to do a bit of recoil control because it's just so important for many aspects of the game. It's just something you want to get used to. So, the best way to practice this, and it's the only one that's really in this aim training because it's so like multitaskable and it's good for all aspects of recoil control, is just going over to the big target, setting your range, usually 20 meters because that's the most optimal performance per practice because that's like what's going to get you the best results. Choose the gun that you want to work on the recoil pattern. Maybe test it out a bit on the wall to find the recoil pattern, and then make sure you keep it within those first 2 circles on the inside. You want to be strict with yourself on this because your practice is only as good as you make it, you know? Like, if you let yourself get by easy and say, it's good enough, it's not going to be good enough in the game. The only way to climb is to be able to hold yourself accountable to your practice. So you really want to pay attention to your recoil patterns and ask, would I be able to spray an enemy down with that where my skills are at right now? And finally, for the young aspiring oppers out there that want to hit legendary flicks just like TSM Wardell and C910s, this last one's for you. This is a bit specialty, and if you don't plan on using the Opper Marshal, just skip this phase. But this is a really essential warm-up and training thing for anyone who wants to hit nasty flicks and be an absolute terror to the enemy team on the op. So, you line up at whatever distance is comfortable to you. I usually do the exit of the bot range and maybe even a bit farther than that. Then you go into the practice setting on the bots, pick out a specific bot that you want to flick to, put your crosshair wherever you want to practice from, and just flick to it. You need to hold yourself accountable. Don't make them too easy, but also don't make them too hard so that you get stressed out. You want to find a perfect medium for you, and practice this for like 15 minutes, to be quite honest. Even in a warm-up, if you want to be an opera, you need to get all your flicks on point because it's such a precision thing. You miss one shot, you're probably dead. And another way to make it even more precise is pick out a bot at the back middle, and if you hit any other bot, make yourself have to do 5 more flicks before the end of practice. So you need to be able to pinpoint your crosshair right exactly where you want it, and this will really help your sensitivity and just your overall skill in game, because you need to be able to hold multiple angles at once if you have such a powerful weapon as an op. So I hope you enjoyed that vid and that training routine that you could start implementing or implement parts of. This was definitely inspired by some other videos like from the King Live and a few streams from professional players and some entertaining streamers. So I would just make sure to check out others' take on aim training and implement some of my drills, some of theirs, and make a routine that's like tailored to you. You don't have to abide by everything I say because this is just what works for me and that I figured out was a good routine for me. So hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you next time.